Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Motivational Intelligence Podcast, where we explore the strategies that empower leaders to build extraordinary teams and create lasting impact. Today, we're diving into a really critical topic that defines the success of every organization: culture. So we're going to talk about why is culture important? Why do so many leaders struggle to define it? And most importantly, how can we intentionally shape a culture that drives results and inspires our people? At its core, culture isn't just a buzzword. It's the foundation of how teams behave, how they innovate, how they succeed. And so in this episode, we're going to unpack the 8 most critical components of building a corporate culture and the 7 tactics you can use to build yours. Let's get started. This is the Motivational Intelligence Podcast, where we help current and aspiring executives unlock a new way of thinking that empowers them to lead boldly, perform at their peak, and create a life that you can be inspired by. I'm your host, Sean Johnson, and having coached leaders across industry, I've seen firsthand how culture can be the greatest asset or the biggest obstacle for any organization. The phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast, is a cliche for a reason, because it's true. You could have the best strategy in the world for competing in a marketplace or building a thriving business, but if we don't have the success culture in place in our organizations to actually execute on it, that strategy is just words on a page. It's just posters on a wall. It's really our ability to inspire our people to execute that makes all the difference. Today, we'll break down the principles and practices that will help you build a culture that's not just effective, but transformative. This podcast is brought to you by 2Logical, a global top 20 training firm and the world leader in motivational intelligence development. We partner with leading executives to build the #1 talent pool in their industry. We've worked with over 40% of the Fortune 500 in 97 countries worldwide, and maybe we'll work with you next. To try our world-renowned executive coaching service for free, start a free trial of Mojo at joinmojo.com/trial. That's joinmojo.com/trial. You'll get unlimited access to the Mojo platform, custom onboarding, and 2 live coaching sessions free of charge. So, if you want to unlock even greater leadership presence and executive effectiveness, reclaim more of your time, and really build something special, get started with your free trial today at joinmojo.com/trial. That's joinmojo.com/trial.
And the more I studied it, the more I began to see that that was the overwhelming commonality of the most successful people that I ever met.
And just the empowerment of the conversations, how it just really motivates you. You don't come across people that impact you that way.
Because a lot of people could say to me, oh yeah, no, I get it. But yet they really don't get it.
This, if you really lean into it, can be life-changing.
Mojo's is part of our DNA and what we do during team meetings.
And I just looked at Randy like, oh my God.
I feel like that's made a lot of impact in my direct report's life because they're not afraid to talk to me.
But I started to see what this gentleman said in the podcast. And I was like, it was just kind of surreal because it was almost like he foreshadowed what I was going to be up against.
They would come in every week and ask me, Paul, how far would you like to get? That's when I told them 105%. And they laughed and I said, no, 105% is where I'm going to be.
I think that concept is one that everybody can buy into, and saying that I can improve 1% from yesterday.
An unstoppable state of mind that enables you and I to achieve everything that we want out of our professional and our personal life.
Now, I want to start by telling you a quick story about why culture matters. In 1980, there was a group of hockey players from the U.S. that rose to international fame and thrilled the nation by beating the favorite Soviet Union to win the gold medal at the Winter Olympics. Now, logically, when we compared the skill set and the experience of these two teams, this win for the U.S. should never have happened. So, why did it? What we learned from this triumph really has little to do with mere skill sets, and it has everything to do with acts of leadership. U.S. coach Herb Brooks built an incredible team by emphasizing a common goal. He brought his team together as a group, shared his strategy, monitored each player's performance, and evaluated their results. Brooks knew his players faced the stiffest competition in the world from the Soviet team, and he understood his team's anxiety over facing the world-renowned champions. So he started making up funny nicknames for each of the Soviet players to demystify them, breaking down his team's tendency to see these Soviet players as superhuman. Even more powerful was his message about the Soviets to the U.S. players. He'd say, They don't believe in you. The Soviets are so overconfident, they don't think you have a prayer. And it's their overconfidence that's going to kill them. And as it turns out, he was exactly right. As you develop relationships with each individual who reports to you, you work to instill a mutual trust and a mutual respect with one another. You establish shared goals and expectations. You demonstrate that you're ready and willing to listen to each person's opinions, that you want to see them learn and grow, and you encourage them to experiment with new ideas and ways of getting the job done. Now, what happens when you bring all these individuals together to work as a team? Because these team dynamics are vital to people's individual development and to the overall development of the organization. And it's through our work with others that individuals cultivate a forum to express opinions, to try out new ways of doing things, to experiment, and most importantly, to learn. Culture is the invisible force that drives behavior in every organization. It influences how people make decisions, how people solve problems, how they interact with one another. And companies with strong intentional cultures demonstrably outperform those without one. And the reason is because culture aligns people's behaviors with the organization's mission. It creates consistency, motivation, and trust. I mean, think of iconic companies like a Google or a Zappos. Their cultures weren't accidental. They're the result of a very deliberate effort to define and reinforce their culture. Now, the problem is most leaders can't define culture. If you survey 10 leaders and you ask them, how many of you think that culture is absolutely critical to your success? Everyone would raise their hand. They all say yes. But if you ask those same 10 leaders to define what culture is, I bet you get 10 different answers. See, many leaders recognize culture's importance, but they struggle to define it. And that's because culture isn't a tangible thing. It's not beanbags in the break room or team building retreats. Those are just expressions of culture, but it's not the culture itself. So if we're going to talk about culture today, we must first define it. And we define it very simply. Culture is the collective beliefs of a group of people. That's it. It's what a group of people collectively believes. And these beliefs determine how people behave, what they prioritize, what's acceptable and not acceptable, and how they're going to respond to challenges. So as a leader, we want to sit here and reflect, if our culture is defined by beliefs, what do our team's behaviors say about what they believe? An important question to think about. But now that we've defined culture, let's explore the 8 most critical components for building a culture that drives results and inspires teams. So component number 1 is common values. Values are the foundation of culture. They guide how people interact and how they make decisions. So everyone on the team has to believe in these same core values. And focusing on these common values provides guidance and justification for all individual and all team behavior. So we want to be able to clearly articulate what are our core beliefs that define our team, that define our organization. And we want to make them specific and actionable, not these vague platitudes. Right? So instead of just integrity, how do we define how integrity shows up in our daily work, like transparency and communication or owning our mistakes? So that's component number 1, common values. Component number 2 is shared goals. Working in a team means that we all have to pull together to accomplish common goals. And these goals must be well communicated, and we must display our unwavering commitment to them as a leader. So a culture thrives when everyone is working towards the same objectives. So as leaders, we need to regularly communicate the organization's goals, our team's goals, and show how each team member's work contributes to achieving them. So for example, as coach of the U.S. Olympic hockey team, Herb Brooks unified his players by focusing on one goal, winning the gold medal. Very clear, very specific. Component number 3 is a shared concern for the outcome. So passion and commitment to success must be universal on the team. Every member of Herb Brooks' gold medal team needed to want that win so much they could taste it. And if the entire team had not reached this level of desire, this level of commitment, the team would have never succeeded. And so in the same manner, everyone on your team, everyone on our teams must share a passion for winning and a commitment to reaching the goal. They must want to make something happen. And so as leaders, we want to foster a sense of ownership by involving employees in discussions about strategy and progress, holding town halls and discussions where leaders and employees can collectively discuss challenges and celebrate wins. Component number 4 is a willingness to help others succeed. So a thriving culture is one where people invest in one another's success. So as demonstrated by your own dedication to bringing out the best in each of your direct reports, everyone on your team must be willing to invest in each other to achieve that common goal. And when this becomes an integral part of the way the company, the team operates, people begin to work together and remain focused on what they need to accomplish even during difficult times, when it's maybe most tempting to resort to negatives. It's at this point in the development of your team that you really begin to truly see the fruits of your labor. As a manager, you'll begin to hear phrases you use to coach and guide your people used by them during interactions with their colleagues. This is how you know it's sinking in. And as the team evolves, this is an awesome transformation that accelerates the learning that you advocate every day as team members regularly turn to one another for advice and assistance. And so we want to recognize and reward these collaborative behaviors, encourage mentorship and peer coaching. Because team members who openly share knowledge and skills elevate the performance of the entire team, the entire organization. Component number 5 is competitiveness. Nothing worth having comes easily. The nature of the task at hand, working towards achieving a common goal, requires competitiveness. So whether we're vying with other companies for the same business or we're competing with other departments in our organization, there must be an enemy out there. Right? You need the opportunity to reinforce your belief in the team's capabilities by saying, Group A is achieving these results, and you are far more talented than they are. So what are we going to do to beat them? Team spirit can be strategically enhanced and built through establishing a common goal to outperform that enemy. And so using competition this way is going to bring your team closer together and give it a benchmark by which to compare its performance and solidify the purpose of those common goals. So frame competition as a challenge to exceed past performance or meet external benchmarks, not as an internal rivalry amongst the team. You want to encourage teams to outperform industry standards. You want to encourage your team to be on a mission to become number one, be on a mission to become the best. And it's this mission that's going to bring them together. Component number 6 is a desire to succeed. So a culture of excellence starts with an internal drive to achieve greatness. Your success hinges on your own ability to internalize the desire to succeed and then help fuel that burning desire within every member of the team. So this might be the most basic tenet of management and leadership. If you're not interested in success and achievement, both for yourself and for others, you need to seriously rethink your decision to become a manager and a leader. So we want to embrace this desire as a leader. We want to model this for other people to follow. So celebrate effort and progress, not just results, to reinforce the value of striving and getting better on our path to success. And you'll see that leaders who consistently push for improvements inspire their teams to do the same. Component number 7 is consistent leadership. So culture flows from the top, right? We all know this. Leaders have to embody the values and the behaviors that they want to see. So leadership is not a sometimes thing. And when you equivocate, when you back down, when you don't rise to the management opportunities your people present to you, you lose momentum. You lose your people's confidence, and then they lose sight of where you want them to go as a manager and a leader. Momentum is critical to accomplishing tasks through others' efforts. Everything you do today builds on what you did yesterday. So every time your team takes a step back, you're starting all over again. That's why it's so important to rise to the occasion on leadership opportunities when they're presented. It keeps the momentum going in a positive direction. Consistent leadership, rising to the occasion for those management opportunities and showing leadership in every aspect of your life, it creates the momentum you need to move your team forward and succeed. So be intentional about how you lead. Your actions, not just your words, are going to set the tone for the organization. So if you want a culture of accountability, show accountability by owning your mistakes and decisions. Component number 8 is mutual respect. Respect is the glue that holds culture together, because without it, trust and collaboration fall apart. The day you become a manager, you need to check your ego at the door. A lot of managers erroneously think that the success they achieve is solely due to their own efforts. And somehow these managers believe that the fact that they are managers makes them superior to the people that report to them. And so when managers start taking themselves too seriously, they can expect to fail as a manager and a leader, because nobody wants to follow that. So make sure you're creating an environment where all voices are heard, all voices are valued, and address disrespect immediately and consistently. Leaders who listen actively and act inclusively, they foster respect at every level of the organization. When in doubt, always remember these 3 golden rules of management. Number 1, you can only accomplish tasks through the efforts of others. Number 2, you're only as great as the people who report to you. and only as weak as your own personal weakness will allow. And number 3, egocentrism is a fatal weakness. When you take credit for others' accomplishments, you bring that weakness to the forefront, where everybody can see it. You're no longer interested in group goals or helping others grow. You're only there for personal satisfaction. So avoid this like the plague. Now, how do we take all this and start to really create that sense of team? Because we know great teams don't materialize randomly. They're a byproduct of strategic management nurtured at the hands of a great leader. So here are 7 tactics you can use to create a sense of team. Number 1, group interaction. So bring your team together as a group as often as possible in both business and social settings to give them the opportunity to nurture some relationships with each other simply by being with one another. So for example, it's great to have the opportunity for people to relax outside the business environment. These social settings give us the opportunity to watch how our people interact with one another and bridge gaps in your understanding about who they are, what they do, the value they bring to the table, how best to train them, how to motivate them. All of these characteristics are on display in a social setting. This is also why we started doing so much group coaching work around motivational intelligence. It checks a lot of these same boxes. You get to know things about people that you didn't know before and you wouldn't have otherwise known. So no matter what your relationship is with specific individuals, in a group coaching or social setting with a team, you still want to look to set an example, to hold high standards of yourself, and make sure you're getting people together regularly. With our group coaching work, we typically will get people together once a month to talk about success principles, what they want out of their lives and careers, the biggest challenges they're running into. It's a great way to build a sense of team. Tactic number 2 is share performance results. So sharing results and praise with the team is an important part of reinforcing our leadership efforts. But as with everything else as a manager, there's an appropriate way to do this that are going to strengthen and bolster the team's future efforts, and an inappropriate way that's going to do more harm than good. So for example, if Mary did a great job in her area where she works with 5 other people, you want to praise her in front of the group without creating jealousy or hostility among the people that maybe didn't perform as well. Give Mary the opportunity to tell the group about her success herself, in her own words. Say to the group, Mary did a wonderful job on this project. Mary, why don't you share with us your views on why you've been so successful? Why did this work so well? What are you doing that's working? Let Mary describe how she did it. So this gives her the accolades and the attention she deserves, but it also lets her tell the story from her perspective and put it in terms that are far more convincing than what you might be able to do yourself. Now, word of caution here. Never set up Mary's success or anybody else on the team, never set up their success as a way to reprimand the rest of the group. Nothing destroys team interaction faster than the statement, well, Mary sold 20 widgets, but you all only sold 15. What's up with the rest of you? Because what does that do to group morale and group performance? Because if you do that, now everyone resents Mary and the group overall is demoralized. So you're going to expect to see a downturn in overall morale and productivity. So instead, let Mary share the process she used to achieve her success, and you finish the discussion by telling the group that you know for a fact that they can all do it just as well as Mary. You've given Mary her well-deserved accolades, and you've used her as an example to encourage the rest of the group. Tactic number 3 is success stories. So in the same manner, be sure to share and celebrate the successes of the team. When you share successes about the team's results, and you emphasize that everyone on the team achieved that success together, you're building collective confidence, collective self-esteem, and commitment from the group toward the accomplishment of the team objectives. Tactic number 4, healthy competition. As we discussed earlier, a team needs a common enemy against which to compare their own performance. And so within teams, competition is not so much about beating the other team, it's about helping the people in the group discover their potential to succeed and teaching them to harvest the ability to achieve that goal together. That's how a rookie hockey team beat an international champion, by seeing their potential as a team to accomplish the goal and by coalescing around that goal to beat a Soviet hockey powerhouse. Tactic number 5, involve key people in management decisions. Involving your key people in management activities yields a couple of big benefits. First, it sends them a subtle message. I believe in you. I think you have potential to do my job. So I'm going to train you to do it. Now keep in mind that as a successful manager, it's your job to groom your replacement. So if you move on to another opportunity or you get the next promotion, someone's going to have to jump in and do your job. So prepare them to do it. Involve your key people in activities that show them how to perform management functions, from recruiting to filling out paperwork. And from a team building perspective, this strategy helps fortify the team. For example, it's especially valuable to involve key people in training new hires. Not only do new people often receive better understanding of the work they're going to perform, but they also have the opportunity to form relationships early with peers in the new workplace. And if people have the opportunity from their first day to interact with the group, they're likely to become stronger as team players. Also, this will help your key people even get to the next level of their performance because, as has always been said, the teacher always far outlearns the student. New people tend to learn their jobs better in peer-to-peer situations, which also helps accelerate their learning. And ultimately, new and seasoned team members work together and invest in each other's success, and that act personifies team. Now, another great application of this strategy is with team members who typically represent a management challenge. So, for example, when you have a controversial mandate come to you from top management and you know you're going to face opposition from some of your team members, bring those people into a strategy session in which you plan the delivery of the message to the whole group. Make those people that you know are going to struggle with this part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So this engages those individuals in the explanation and the reinforcement of group goals, while they simultaneously receive a message from you that you respect their opinion, you appreciate their input as professionals. Tactic number 6, using group forums for praise and reward. So use every opportunity to highlight the successes of individuals and the entire group. So just as we praised Mary by allowing her to tell her own story to the group, use team meetings and social occasions to bring everybody's attention to what's gone well and let team members tell the stories in their own words. And tactic number 7 is share the vision. Repeat the goal. Give periodic reports on progress towards the goal and constantly underscore that the entire team shares in the accomplishment of that goal. Now, when we look at everything we talked about today through the applications of these strategies, focusing on these components, building a powerful team culture, what we're really doing is we're fulfilling a basic human need. The need to feel like we belong and we're accepted. Everything we've discussed revolves around this basic concept, and this is the underlying catalyst for creating effective work teams, for building effective cultures. So after you listen to this, take 30 minutes. Reflect on your team's culture. What are the core beliefs driving the behavior in your team or in your organization? Do these beliefs align with the culture you want? Which of the 8 components we talked about today could you focus on strengthening this quarter? Which of the 7 tactics could you use to improve in that area? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Motivational Intelligence Podcast. And remember, culture isn't something that you have. It's something that you build. And by focusing on these 8 critical components and the 7 tactics to build them, you can create a culture that drives success and inspires your team to achieve more than they ever thought possible. If you found this episode valuable, go ahead and share it with your team or your network, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights and new episodes weekly. See you next time. This podcast is brought to you by 2Logical, a global top 20 training firm and the world leader in motivational intelligence development. We partner with leading executives to build the #1 talent pool in their industry. We've worked with over 40% of the Fortune 500 in 97 countries worldwide, and maybe we'll work with you next. To try our world-renowned executive coaching service for free, start a free trial of Mojo at joinmojo.com/trial. That's joinmojo.com/trial. You'll get unlimited access to the Mojo platform, custom onboarding, and 2 live coaching sessions free of charge. So, if you want to unlock even greater leadership presence and executive effectiveness, reclaim more of your time, and really build something special, get started with your free trial today at joinmojo.com/trial. That's joinmojo.com/trial.
And the more I studied it, the more I began to see that that was the overwhelming commonality of the most successful people that I ever met.
And just the empowerment of the conversations, how it just really motivates you. You don't come across people that impact you that way.
Because a lot of people could say to me, oh yeah, no, I get it. But yet they really don't get it.
This, if you really lean into it, can be life-changing.
Mojos is part of our DNA and what we do during team meetings.
And I just looked at Randy like, oh my God.
I feel like that's made a lot of impact in my direct report's life because they're not afraid to talk to me.
But I started to see what this gentleman said in the podcast. And I was like, it was just kind of surreal because it was almost like he foreshadowed what I was going to be up against that point.
They would come in every week and ask me, Paul, how far would you like to get? That's when I told them 105%. And they laughed, and I said, no, 105% is where I'm going to be.
I think that concept is one that everybody can buy into and saying that I can improve 1% from yesterday.
An unstoppable state of mind that enables you and I to achieve everything that we want out of our professional and our personal life.